Nurse fired for helping a undercover CEO. What happened next will shock you. The hallway was bright, clean, and cold. Too cold. The kind of sterile silence that hospitals wear like armor. Nurse Grace Williams moved quickly down the corridor, her blue scrubs brushing against her knees as she walked. She had been pulled off her usual pediatric floor to cover the late ER shift. Short-staffed again, of course. Halfway to the trauma bay, something stopped her. Not a sound, not a cry, just a feeling. Slumped against the beige-tiled wall was an elderly black man, alone. He looked like he'd been through a storm. His clothes torn and soaked, his skin darkened by more than just age. He looked half-frozen. His knuckles were scraped raw. A dirty bandage hung loosely around his left arm. But no one was helping him. Doctors walked by. Nurses stared ahead. One security guard glanced at him like he was furniture. Grace stopped. "Sir?" she said gently, crouching beside him. He didn't speak. She noticed a deep gash under the filthy fabric on his wrist. It was old, infected, crusted with dried blood. "I'm Grace. I'm a nurse," she said, pulling out gauze from her pocket. "I just want to clean this. That okay?" The man looked up slowly. His eyes were tired, but sharp. "You don't have to," he rasped. "Number, I want to." She knelt, knees on the cold floor, and unwrapped the old cloth. The smell hit her, but she didn't flinch. Her hands moved fast. Gauze, alcohol, new wrap. From down the hall, a voice cut through the quiet. "Williams, what are you doing?" It was Supervisor Dorsey, clipboard in hand, lips tight. "Treating an unattended injury," Grace said without rising. "He's not admitted. He's not even logged. You're violating policy." Grace blinked up at her. "So we let him bleed on the floor?" "We have procedures, Grace. You can't just touch everyone who walks in off the street." "He didn't walk in," Grace said. "He collapsed." Dorsey narrowed her eyes. "You're wasting time. Come back to the nurses' station, now." Grace stood, heart pounding, but turned back to the man. She squeezed his hand. "You'll be okay. I'll be right back." But when she returned 15 minutes later, he was gone. The next morning, Grace was called into HR. No warning, no discussion, just a termination notice for violation of hospital safety protocol. "You helped an unregistered individual without clearance," the administrator read coldly. "Off the books, no chart, no ID." "He was injured," Grace said, "and human." "That's not how hospitals run, Ms. Williams. You're dismissed." She walked out numb. Grace had spent 6 years building her career, first in med-surg, then trauma, finally pediatrics. She had trained during COVID. She'd stayed through nights of death and disaster, and she was fired for helping a man no one else would touch. 4 days later, in a quiet downtown cafe, a news report flickered on the mounted TV. A wealthy business magnate had made headlines. Leonard Mason, the reclusive CEO of Mason Health Systems, worth $3.1 billion. But the headline wasn't about his net worth. It was about his disguise. Leonard Mason has spent the past 6 months posing as a homeless man, visiting 18 hospitals across 7 states, the anchor read. He wanted to see how medical staff treated the unseen, the forgotten. What he found was disturbing. Grace dropped her coffee. The image on the screen was him, cleaned up, in a suit, speaking from a podium, but it was him. Her eyes welled up. "I was injured, alone. Most walked past me, but in one hospital, one nurse knelt on the ground and treated me like I mattered." Her name wasn't mentioned, but she knew, and so did the people watching. Because 24 hours later, a letter arrived at her door. Gold seal, no sender, inside. The world doesn't need more policy. It needs more people like you. Come meet me at the Hilton downtown tomorrow, 9 a.m. Don't wear scrubs. You're not just a nurse anymore. Leonard Mason Grace sat on the floor, shaking. The man no one would touch had been watching everything, and now everything was about to change. Grace stood in the hotel lobby, dressed in plain business attire, her heart beating like a war drum. Just 24 hours earlier, she was unemployed, humiliated, and silently questioning if compassion even had a place in modern health care. Now she was waiting to meet the most elusive billionaire in the country. The elevator doors opened on the top floor. A private assistant led her into a large suite, where windows poured light over soft leather chairs and a long oak table. And at the far end, Leonard Mason, in a tailored black suit, rose slowly from his seat. He looked nothing like the man she'd cleaned up from the hospital floor, but his eyes, they were the same. "Miss Williams," he said softly, walking toward her, "you have no idea what your kindness meant." Grace opened her mouth, but words wouldn't come. He gestured for her to sit. "6 months ago," he began, "I was diagnosed with stage 3 lymphoma. It forced me to think differently, not as a CEO, but as a man who might not have much time left." He paused. "I needed to see the world through another lens, so I went undercover as a man without power, money, or name." He looked directly at her. 18 hospitals. I was ignored, and 17 Grace's eyes stung. And then I met you. Later that afternoon, reporters filled the ballroom of the Hilton for what they thought was just another press update from the Carter Wellness Trust. Instead, Leonard stepped to the podium and dropped a truth bomb on the healthcare world. "Our hospitals are efficient, clean, professional, but not always humane." He told them about the undercover visits, the wounds, the looks of disgust, the avoidance. And then he said her name. Nurse Grace Williams knelt beside me when everyone else looked away. She didn't know who I was. She didn't care. She just helped. The crowd gasped. Camera shutters fired. And for that, she was fired. Gasps turned into murmurs. So today, I'm here to announce that I have acquired a controlling stake in St. Ethel's Hospital, effective immediately. Every executive from the hospital seated near the front shifted uncomfortably. Leonard continued, "Effective today, Saint. Ethel's will launch a new patient-first reform initiative, and at its head will be a new chief of human-centered care." He turned. "Grace, would you join me on stage?" She walked up, shaking. He handed her a folder. Inside, a full reinstatement, a 5-year contract, a leadership position, and a personal letter. "What you gave me wasn't just care. It was dignity. Let's give that to everyone." Back at St. Ethel's, the changes began immediately. The cold policies, revised, training on empathy, outreach, trauma-informed care, required. Supervisor Dorsey, relocated. And in the main hallway, where Grace had once knelt beside a man everyone ignored, a plaque was mounted on the wall. "One nurse changed everything," in honor of those who see the human before the patient. Grace never let it change her. She still visited the ER, still brought snacks to the overnight staff, still talked to patients like people. And one evening, Leonard Mason, now in remission, stopped by. They sat on a bench in the same hallway. "Do you ever wonder why I chose your hospital?" he asked. "Why?" She smiled. He pointed down the corridor. Because I knew if someone was going to see me, really see me, it would be here. He was right, because Grace didn't wait for the title, or a raise, or an audience. She just did what was right, when no one else would. And that changed everything. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.